Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now this one is number 6 of my guilty pleasures, and today it is Boney M. Now I know Martin Parrott has been asking for this. I promised it after I think I did the Nolans video way back late last year. So we'll go for it. Boney M. Now, I feel a little bit guilty putting Boney M under the Guilty Pleasures banner because I think they're a great pop band, a great 70s pop band. Definitely one of the best, not the best, that's ABBA. But they were the brainchild of Frank Farian, who was a German, or still is, I think he's still alive, record producer. And he put together these group of 4 people. Now, it's actually a little bit complicated. There's 4 of them. There's Liz Mitchell, who is the lead singer, Marcia Barrett, who is also a lead singer but doesn't sing as many of the big songs as Liz. There's Maisie Williams, who you will see perform but does not actually sing on any of the albums, but whenever they performed live she did sing backing vocals. And then there's Bobby Farrell, who's probably the most recognisable of all Boney M, but he didn't provide any vocals whatsoever on any of the albums. Well, that's not strictly true, we'll come to that. And he didn't sing live either, so he's really just a dancer. So whenever you see him miming to Rasputin, those vocals are actually Frank Farian's. He did the vocals on the albums. And Frank Farian is also quite infamous for the Milli Vanilli scandal as well in the late 80s, which is a band, no, not my type of music at all, so I'm not that guilty. Okay, from 1976 to 1985 they released 7 albums in the UK, plus 2 Christmas albums which weren't actually released here. I think they were only released in Europe. I have one of them which I'll show, but I don't have the one from 84. So the debut in 76 was Take the Heat Off Me, and this got to number 40 in the charts. And this is Eurodisco, and it's actually really good. It's got 2 hit singles off it, Daddy Cool, which got to number 6, and Sunny, which got to number 3. Those 2 will always feature, all these 70 singles will feature on any Boney M compilations. Daddy Cool is just a classic track. It's really, really good, and Frank Farian's vocals in this are excellent. I must say I do love Liz Mitchell's voice. I think she is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, one thing I'll also say about Boney M is they did quite a few cover versions, but they always tended to do at least one cover version from a very respected artist. In this case, the cover version on this album is No Woman, No Cry by Bob Marley. In 1977 their second album came out, and this is Love for Sale. Now the US got a different cover for this, which I'll show now. Now this here also contained 2 big hit singles. The number 2 hit Ma Baker, which is brilliant. I remember it so much in the charts, I loved it then. And then the other one is a quite odd choice of a single, and quite an adventurous single called Belfast, which is basically talking about my little capital city. I don't live in Belfast, I'm about 55 miles away from it. Basically they're singing about how much of a dump it is, and I can't complain. In the 70s it was a dump, but the lead vocals for that were actually taken by Marcia Barrett rather than Liz Mitchell. But it's a good song as well, and as I say, it got on the Greatest Hits album. So Love for Sale got to number 13 in the charts. I must also say that the big cover version of this is Creedence Clearwater Revival's Have You Ever Seen the Rain, and I think they do a pretty good job of it. The next album to come was in 1978, and this is the big one, and it's Night Flight to Venus. And this opens up with probably one of the best 2 songs ever segued into each other, and it's the title track, which is really the drum pattern of Cozy Powell's Dance with the Devil going into Rasputin, and put the 2 together. They're about 10 minutes long and absolutely brilliant. Now Rasputin did get to number 2 in the chart, so it was a huge disco hit. But the big hit came next with Rivers of Babylon. Now Rivers of Babylon got to number 1, and its B-side was Brown Girl in the Ring. Now what happened was it started going down the charts. The DJ started flipping the record and started playing Brown Girl in the Ring, which brought the single back up the charts again. It didn't peak again at number 1, but it did very well. But it's the same single, and I'm sure there's a lot of people went out and bought both, thinking that they were 2 separate singles, whenever it was actually the same. Now Rivers of Babylon to this day is the 4th best selling non-charity single in the UK, so it was a massive seller. So Night Flight to Venus from 1979, and now there's a couple of big cover versions of this. King of the Road was the Roger Miller song, which I think they do very well. But the big one is Heart of Gold by Neil Young, and I absolutely love this version. Now I will admit I do like the Neil Young ones as well, although I'm not a Neil Young fan. But still, Heart of Gold, absolutely brilliant. So we'll come back to this album in a minute. Okay, next up, and we have a standalone single. And it's Mary's Boy Child. Now this, I don't have any of the Boney M 70s British singles apart from this one, because they never came on any picture sleeve. So I will show this, which is a foreign import of Mary's Boy Child, and this was a number 1 hit single in 1978. And this doesn't really get the same sort of airplay as all the other Christmas singles by different artists from the 70s and 80s. But I absolutely love this. It's actually a medley of Mary's Boy Child and Oh My Lord. Brilliant song, and to date this is the 9th best selling non-charity single in the UK. So Boney M, of songs that have not been released for charity, have 2 of the best selling in the UK. Okay, we'll come back to this one again, Night Flight to Venus, because after that, in 1979, another single was released, and that was Painter Man, which was a cover version of the Creation song, and it got to number 10. Another single then came out, which was a standalone single, and I think this was intended to be on their next album, but there was a bit of a gap between them, and it's Hooray, Hooray, It's a Holly Holly Day. And now this is catchiness to its nth degree. I think it's based on the tune, or the nursery rhyme tune, Polly Wolly Doodle, which is one of the only things I can ever play on the recorder when I was a kid. But yeah, I do love this. I really do love it. It is extremely catchy, but it didn't feature on the next album. And the next album was Oceans of Fantasy. Now this is not bad. It features 2 hit singles. I'll show them now, and they are Gotta Go Home with Elute. Now Gotta Go Home, it was used for Duck Sauce's Barbra Streisand in 2010, which got to number 3. This didn't do as well. It's got to number 12 in the charts, but it's a fantastic Boney M song. And the second single from it was I'm Born Again, which I think is the most beautiful song sung by Liz Mitchell. Absolutely gorgeous. And it got to number 35, unfortunately. But yeah, this is not a bad album either. It's not quite as good as the previous couple, but it does have things like Ribbons of Blue. Now Ribbons of Blue is a gorgeous, gorgeous song, but it's only a truncated version on this. I think you have to get one of the singles. I can't remember which one it is to actually get the full version. Let It All Be Music is the opener, which is really good. Bahama Mama, which was the B-side of I'm Born Again, which is great fun. And a Calendar Song, which is probably even more catchy than Hooray, Hooray, It's a Holiday, which all it does is go through the calendar: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and you can see them performing it, well, miming it on YouTube. And the big cover version of this is the Beatles' Two of Us, and they do a pretty sterling job, really, really good. So Oceans of Fantasy from 1980. Now, next up came the greatest hits, and if we're being honest, this is the most important album to get. Now, there's 20 songs off this, and this features all the hit singles from Daddy Cool right up to Hooray, It's a Holiday. But it also includes one new song, which is a cover version of The Smokes' My Friend Jack, which was a single for them in 1967. This didn't do that well. It got to about 50 something in the charts. It's not the best of songs either, but it's not bad. Next up we have a single which was again a bit like the holiday single. This was supposed to be on their next album, and this is Children of Paradise. And yeah, this is also quite good, and this was supposed to be included on the Banunas album, but it didn't. There was again a year gap between this and the album, so they decided not to put it on. And the first single from that Banunas album is We Kill the World, Don't Kill the World. And again, it's not a bad song. And here we have the Banunas album. Now, this is a weird one. This has been released as a double album, which is probably done the best way to hear it, because it's very, very long. I've got the single version, and all the songs tend to be segued into each other, but it's a really, really good listen. The highlight for me is a song called Malaika, which is probably my favourite Boney M song of all. It's one of those whim away songs which is really, really good. And the big cover version of this one is Van Morrison's I Shall Sing. Well, it's actually mixed in with a song, actually a Banunas song, but as I say, it's a weird listen because they are segued in with little songs stuck into other songs, and then it goes back to the same song and so forth. But it's a really good album, and probably the last really good Boney M album. And next up is the Christmas album. Now, this was only released, I believe, in Europe and other territories. It does have Mary's Boy Child on it, but I think the single released from this was Little Drummer Boy. It's just got a lot of the various type Christmas songs, and they do a very good version of When a Child is Born on this. That was really it for Boney M, and in 1984 they came back with 10,000 Light Years. Now, Bobby Farrell had gone, even though he didn't appear on any of the albums. I forgot to say he actually did appear on Banunas. So he actually did a little bit of a spoken intro, and that was it. So this is 10,000 Light Years, and the sound was more contemporary. It was more of the age. It just wasn't as good. There wasn't really actually a huge big cover version of this. You could say Dizzy from the 1960s, and it's not a bad version. It's an okay album. It's of its time, but it's nowhere near the standard of the previous albums. And in 1985 they released I Dance. Now, again, I forgot to say that they did bring a new member in for the previous album, which was Reggie Sibo, which I think is how you pronounce it, and he did provide some vocals, and he does on this as well. Bobby Farrell is also back, and he provides vocoder vocals on Young, Free and Single, which was actually released as a single. And because I think he provided the vocoder vocals, the single's actually credited to Boney M with Bobby Farrell. I think they were shining his name up. Bang Bang Lulu is probably the catchiest song off this. It's one of those little innuendo-y type songs, but it is extremely catchy. The first single off this was Stevie Wonder's My Cherie Amour, and on this is a version of Dreadlock Holiday by 10cc, which is very similar to the 10cc version itself. Is it only me, or whenever I hear that song I automatically think of Brother Louie by Hot Chocolate? I think they're very, very similar. But I think this is maybe slightly better than the previous album, but it's still nowhere near the standard of the first lot. So I Dance to date is the last Boney M album. and it's okay. And so just a couple of more singles that I've got. And Little Drummer Boy, which was from the Christmas album. They did release another Christmas album in 1984, which I don't have. And it does feature a version of Paul Simon's Mother and Child Reunion on it, which I've heard, and it's okay, it's not great. This is another single I have, and it's Mary's Boy Child. And they have released from around 85 onwards countless remixes and medleys of their songs. There's an example of one of the remixes, and a lot of these have actually charted and done really well. And the last one I have is a single called Stories, and it's Boney M from 1990, and they look completely different. They are a completely different band. Reggie Sibo is there along with Liz Mitchell and two other girls, and I found this and I thought, oh, I'll buy that, and it's awful. So Boney M, another guilty pleasure of mine. God, will I be able to make volume 10 of this series? I don't know. So from 76 to 81 I thought they were great pop band, and then after that they just fizzled out. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.